We have the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Steelers. This is your Week 18, 2024 prediction and preview video. Hit subscribe if you're new. Also hit the like button. This game has major playoff implications. So let me talk about the Steelers and the Bengals. If the Steelers win this game and the Baltimore Ravens lose against the Cleveland Browns, they will win the AFC North Division and they will clinch a home playoff game. But if the Steelers go out there and they lose this matchup and the Ravens win, the Ravens will win the AFC North matchup, and it's a chance that the Steelers will either face the Buffalo Bills on the road or the Houston Texans. For the Cincinnati Bengals, this team's on a 4-game winning streak. If the Bengals go out there, they win this game, and the Miami Dolphins lose, and then you also look at the Denver Broncos. If they lose against the Kansas City Chiefs, the Cincinnati Bengals will make the NFL playoffs. Now let's talk about the Steelers because they are the home team. This is not the first time these two teams have faced each other. They're division rivals, so they're going to face each other twice a year. Well, it's time for that rematch. In the first matchup, the Steelers went out there and they completely dominated the Cincinnati Bengals through 3 quarters. They won the matchup 44-38. But that was a different Cincinnati Bengals defense. The defense with the Bengals has been better over the last 4 weeks. In this particular matchup, Russell Wilson was 29-38, 414 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns. He did throw a pick 6 in this matchup. But to add in context here, Cam Taylor-Britt was not flagged for illegal hands to the face. He grabbed the back of George Pickens' helmet and went for a pick 6. Russell Wilson, since this game, has not been the same quarterback. Against the Philadelphia Eagles, he struggled. Against the Baltimore Ravens, he had a pick 6 in that matchup, which was a legal pick 6, and he fumbled the football in the red zone area. And last week against the Kansas City Chiefs, this team, they got completely dominated. They lost to the Chiefs 29-10, and Russell Wilson on the day did not have a very good game. He was 23-37, 205 passing yards, 0 passing touchdowns, 1 interception, and he got sacked 5 times. The offensive line is going to be the biggest key here with the Steelers. They have been exposed in the last 3 games. Now, against the Cincinnati Bengals, they did a good job of keeping Trey Hendrickson away. But Trey Hendrickson right now is the best pass rusher in the NFL statistically. He can take over this game. And if you're the Steelers, you don't want that to happen. Even though Russ had 414 passing yards in that first matchup, you don't want him to go out there and have that many passing yards in this game. Run this offense through Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. And speaking of Najee Harris went out there in the first encounter with the Bengals. They got him the football a lot in the first quarter. They got him the football so much that the man was tired and he needed a breather out of the game, and they brought in Cordell Patterson. Hopefully Najee Harris is able to go in this matchup and they can really give him the football. Najee Harris is not the fastest running back with the team, not even close. But he is a powerful running back. Get him involved in the receiving game and kill the Cincinnati Bengals with the short passes. Now, if you're trying to go out there and run screen passes with your wide receivers, I wouldn't advise that in this matchup. The Cincinnati Bengals defense in the last month against screens, they have been covering all over that. And give a lot of respect to Coach Lou. You're not going to beat the Cincinnati Bengals by dinking and dunking to your wide receivers. To your running backs, that's a bit different. They're dealing with a lot of injuries at the linebacker position. Logan Wilson is out. He's on IR. And he's one of their better linebackers. Some even say that he's their best linebacker, especially when it comes to in coverage and tackling. You have Jaylen Warren, you have Najee Harris. You can use them in the receiving game. The middle of the field was wide open in the first matchup until the second half. You can use those running backs to make the Cincinnati Bengals play up, and you can take those deep shots down the field to Calvin Austin III and to George Pickens. George Pickens last week against the Chiefs, he's finally able to come back on the field. He missed the last few games dealing with a hamstring injury. And the last week against the Chiefs, he had 3 catches, 50 receiving yards. Not his best day on 7 targets, but it was okay enough with a guy that was recovering from a hamstring injury. But against the Bengals, 3 catches, 74 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. Get him involved early. Get him the football. Take those moonshots down the field. In terms of the moon ball, take those shots down the field. Make them double cover George Pickens, and then Calvin Austin III can sneak in on the back end, and the same with Pat at the tight end position. Arthur Smith has to be more creative in this matchup. Justin Fields has been out the last few games dealing with a rib injury to the abdominal. But when I look at the situation here, if you're going to put Justin Fields in the game, let him be a momentum changer. Don't just bring him in to run. Justin Fields is a quarterback. Now, he's not a top 5, top 10 quarterback in the NFL, but Justin Fields did help you win football games with his arm. If you're going to bring in Justin Fields, keep the Cincinnati Bengals defense guessing. Defenses now know when you bring in Justin Fields, more than likely he's going to run. Slide the offensive line to the right and do a play action play. Go out there and let him use his arm down the field to target George Pickens and Calvin Austin III. Now, the offense is on schedule with Russell Wilson. You keep Russell Wilson in the game. But if you need an extra boost, keep in Justin Fields. And you may even bring him in the next drive if he's able to get the team going. But Russell Wilson right now, he needs to play better. He's holding on to the football for too long, and he's taking dumb sacks. Justin Fields has the mobility to get himself out of the jam. And you had to be creative with Justin Fields and do some read option plays with him and Jalen Warren and with Cordell Patterson. The RPO system with Justin Fields has been effective at the beginning portion of this season, and it could catch the Cincinnati Bengals off guard. It just comes down to Arthur Smith. Will he be creative enough to get him involved in the right ways? Stop running the kid in the game every single time because it's so predictable. And against this Bengals defense, they're going to feast on that. Look at what they did in the second half against Bo Nix. Look at what this defense did against the Dallas Cowboys. Granted, it's the Dallas Cowboys, but they played very well. You can't help your competition. And right now, the Steelers, they've lost their last 3 games. You're heading into the wrong direction. You need to get this win, especially if you want to win this division and have a home playoff game, and especially if you want to see Tomlin go out there and win his first playoff game since 2016. When I look at the defense for the Steelers, Alex Highsmith was not able to play in the last matchup, but the defense went out there and they did their job. Joe Burrow threw an interception on the day, and you had Herbig come off the edge and he got a fumble. That's what you want to see in this matchup. Get Herbig involved, Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt. In order for the Steelers to win this game, they have to take care of the football, stay on schedule on the offensive end. But on the defensive end, create havoc. Put pressure all around Joe Burrow. You don't want this man playing pitch and catch with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And Joey Porter Jr. had a terrible day against Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. They were picking on this kid. Jamar Chase had 86 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. T. Higgins, 69 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. This is the best wide receiving duo in the NFL right now. You have to be on your P's and Q's in that secondary. Deshaun Elliott is able to play in this matchup. He was able to play last week. You have Micah Fitzpatrick. Joey Porter Jr. will play in this game. He was not able to play against the Kansas City Chiefs. He was dealing with a knee injury. Stop the penalties. Get after Joe Burrow. And I'm looking at Patrick Queen. The last 2 games, they've been rough. Do not put this man in single coverage against tight ends. Now, the Cincinnati Bengals, they won't go out there. They won't target the tight end as much as the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles and the Baltimore Ravens do. But they can't take advantage of this in the red zone. I'm looking at Peyton Wilson, who has been a very good cover linebacker in the past. If you're going to run that coverage, put Peyton Wilson right there in that situation. Peyton Wilson has been one of the best cover linebackers on this team. Orlando Robinson has been very good against the run. I look at Patrick Queen right now. I'm not saying bench him, but I don't have that much confidence in him right now in terms of guarding guys across the middle of the field. The Steelers defense should be fine as long as they can stay off the field long enough to catch their breath, pin their ears back and get after Joe Burrow and stop this run game. And this may be crazy to say, the Steelers will be better off in this matchup if they're one-dimensional. If you make the Cincinnati Bengals offense one-dimensional, you can pin your ears back and you can get after Joe Burrow. Even though he's red hot right now, Coach Tomlin has done a very good job of coaching up against him in the past. But at the same time, Joe Burrow has had some great moments against the defense of the Steelers. Now let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. When you look at the Steelers, 3-game losing streak. You look at the Bengals, 4-game losing streak. And I mentioned before, it's a lot riding on this game. Joe Burrow, 42 passing touchdowns to 8 interceptions on the season. Last week against the Denver Broncos, Joe Burrow was Superman. He looked like an MVP last week, and he's been Mr. MVP all season long. As long as his defense will step up, they'll be okay. But he had 412 passing yards last week, 3 passing touchdowns. He got sacked 7 times. I will say this, if you're going to get sacked 7 times against the Steelers, you may lose this matchup because the more time they can put hits on your quarterback, they're going to try to punch that football out. The Steelers defense has been amazing this year in terms of takeaways. Joe Burrow has to take care of the football, but this offensive line up front, they have to take care of Joe. And Joe Burrow has to stop holding on to the football for so long. Chase Brown last week was solid on the ground, 67 rushing yards, and he was able to go out there and do damage in the receiving game with 24 receiving yards. They put in Khalil Herbert because he sprained his ankle at the end of the game. Hopefully Chase Brown can play in this matchup. It's just a sprained ankle. It's nothing too serious. But Chase Brown is one of the key parts of this offense. You have Joe Burrow, of course, like I mentioned before, amazing quarterback, has been great all season long. It's the wide receivers. Pitch and catch to Jamar Chase and to T. Higgins could be essential in this matchup. T. Higgins had 131 receiving yards last week, 3 receiving touchdowns. Jamar Chase had 102 receiving yards last week. Mike Gesicki, 10 catches, 86 receiving yards. Call me crazy. Jamar Chase may have a big day. The same with T. Higgins. If Patrick Queen is struggling in this matchup, go at Mike Gesicki. Get him the football. And the same with Yoshi Vash as well inside the slot. I expected the 2 top wide receivers to go out there and do damage. Look, the Steelers secondary is solid, but Joy Porter Jr. deals with a lot of penalties on the side of the ball. And he's going to give up a lot of big plays if he's not able to go out there and press on the inside the wide receiver. He's not a bad cornerback, but the man has so many penalties in the first matchup. Target his side. And it's no disrespect towards him. I think he's a good player, but I trust Jamar Chase more. I trust T. Higgins more. Get them involved. And this is the one situation, Joe Burrow. Don't be timid here. It was a lot of times earlier in the game when they first faced each other, Joe Burrow was too timid to go to Jamar Chase. He was too timid to go to T. Higgins because Joy Porter Jr. was right there, but it came with penalties. Target that side. I would avoid Mika Fitzpatrick across the middle of the field. Those crossing routes, they can get a little ugly. But when you have a guy like Yoshi Vash, he could take the middle of the field, and you have Jamar Chase on the outside, and the same with T. Higgins. Spread out this offense. Quick passes have killed the Steelers over the last 3 weeks against the Eagles, against the Chiefs, and against the Baltimore Ravens. Those quick passes. Pitch in and out, pitch in and out. And even though Joe Burrow has held on to the football for a very long time throughout his entire career, even dating back at LSU, he has shown he will get the football out quick to key targets. Getting the football out quick to Mike Gesicki could definitely work in this matchup. The same with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. But I really hope that Chase Brown can play. Because the Denver Broncos last week, they were so concerned with those guys at the perimeter position, at the wide receiving position, at the tight end position. Chase Brown is wide open underneath, and he's giving you problems. In that first matchup, Chase Brown looked very good against the Steelers. Get him involved in the same with Khalil Herbert and be more aggressive on the offensive end and live by Joe Burrow. And unfortunately, I don't think for the Steelers' sake that they're going to die by Joe Burrow. This man has been phenomenal. I don't see the Bengals going out there and losing this game because of Joe Burrow. I don't see him going out there throwing 2 to 3 interceptions in this matchup. He is red hot, and this is a playoff game for the Bengals. Because remember what I said earlier in the video. If the Dolphins lose and the Broncos lose and the Bengals win this game, they make the NFL playoffs, and they will be a dangerous team in the playoffs due to their offense alone. When I look at the defense for the Bengals, give credit where credit is due. They went out there in overtime, and they did a lot of damage on Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos. You could say that Bo Nix missed some throws. Well, he missed throws because Trey Hendrickson was in his face majority of the time. Trey Hendrickson has been phenomenal. One of the best defensive players in the NFL. Sam Hubbard is out right now dealing with an injury. We'll see if he's able to play in this game. But Sam Hubbard, 14 sacks on the year, 2 forced fumbles. Go back there and put that pressure on Russell Wilson and force him to hold on to the football just a little bit longer than he's used to. When I look at Cam Taylor-Britt, he's given up a lot of big plays in the past, but he's had huge plays against the Kansas City Chiefs. He had a bad game against the Washington Commanders. And last week, he had some up and down moments. He has to be more consistent in the secondary. Josh Newton has been a very good football player. Look at that game against the Los Angeles Chargers. And look what he was able to do last week. That press man coverage on the Steelers will give them problems. Just force Russell Wilson to be knocked off his spot. Now, Russell Wilson will turn back the hands of time. He will go out there and make a throw that makes you scratch your head and say, how the hell did he get that play off? But when you have Trey Hendrickson and you have those pass rushes that the Bengals have, you will be okay. Cover 1 man should help you out against this team. Cover 2 can also help you out. Cover 2 has done a lot of damage on the Steelers, and that's what the Chiefs did last week. Russell Wilson trying to throw the moon ball up to George Pickens. You have a cornerback right there. And if he gets past the cornerback, it's a safety right over the top. So Russell Wilson has to be insanely accurate and drop it right into the bucket. Now, he can do that. But when I look at the players on the Bengals defense, these guys have athleticism, and they're long, lanky corners. They can catch up with George Pickens. They can bat the ball down. It can go for an interception. Geno Stone was a pick machine last season. Very amazing safety last year for the Baltimore Ravens. This year, he has taken a step back, but in the last month of this season, he has 4 interceptions and 6 pass deflections. He's been a very good player. So go out there and trust in your guys. Run some zone coverage, of course, but that man coverage is going to help you out. And be on lookout for that pick play in the red zone against the Steelers. They love to have wide receivers stacked on top of each other, and they'll have George Pickens either on the slant or in the out route, and they'll have Calvin Austin third coming across there. You have to be on lookout for that because the flat will be wide open. Usually against man coverage, that will give you problems. This is why in red zone situations, you resort to zone coverage, more so cover 2 coverage in the red zone area. With all that being said, this is a playoff game for both teams. The Steelers, they want to get a win in the worst way possible. And also with the Cincinnati Bengals, this is Saturday night prime time. This is going to be a good one. I can see the Steelers winning this game. The Steelers are the home team. I don't see them going out there and losing 4 games in a row. So with that being said, I do have the Steelers winning this game. And I had the Steelers winning this game 28-27. But let me know in the comment section below, who do you have winning this game, the Steelers or the Cincinnati Bengals? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.